What's the atmosphere like here?
It's something I've never experienced, but my family's from here, and there is something about Detroit pride, not just pride for the Lions, but just the city of Detroit.
I'm a big fan of the NFL draft. I work with a lot of NFL players, kind of manage and develop opportunities that are available to them now that they're in a different space.
The bigger thing about it is that I take relationships and building with people serious because you never know who you're talking to, you never know who you're around.
Experiences and possibilities are limitless with this pass right here. You got some in-game action, and you got a little close-up of them, real detailed.
Episode 77, Stay Classy podcast. We're here with Dwayne Hirsch. Yes. Dwayne, nice to meet you.
Absolutely nice to meet you, man. Pleasure to be here, man.
Awesome. So we're here at the Detroit, we're at the NFL draft here in Detroit. And tell me, Dwayne, what brings you to the draft and what makes you so pumped to be here today?
Well, first of all, what up, though? I love Detroit. You know, I love being here. I'm a big fan of the NFL draft. I work with a lot of NFL players as a mentor, a big brother, and also a business development expert that helps them to kind of manage and develop opportunities that are available to them now that they're in a different space, and retired players and things like that as well.
Okay, so you work in like player development. So tell us a little bit about some of the players you work with and how you, like what you do for the players.
So think of it this way, it's more like business development for players, right? So a lot of those are protected by NDAs, but I work with players from the Bears, Canadian players from the Edmonton Elks, other teams around the NFL, at University of Maryland, we mentor players there, a few other places. So, and we do a lot in the recruitment world through Sound Mind, Sound Body, and some partners that we have over there. We're also here with our partners from Hollo AI, Rex Wong, kind of presenting that platform as a way to help players to be able to multiply their efforts in earning money and monetizing their careers and the brands that they build, and now they can use AI to do that more effectively.
Okay, so tell us about that. How can a professional athlete use AI to market themselves and profit off of their name, image, and likeness?
So think about it as a digital twin. Everybody has an avatar now, right? So if you look at somebody's Facebook page, they have an avatar. An avatar is essentially a digital twin of yourself. But what happens when you bring it to life and you make it able to talk for you and answer questions for you in your voice? And so now it takes a call from your customers in your voice. It can answer questions, make cold calls for you, or warm calls in your voice to people that you know, right? So they're always a way to connect people to you, and these are things that are programmable. You're able to add your personalized influence to that to make it more effective to you, so it can communicate with your audience, answer your comments, and do all types of things that help you to kind of double. People always say, man, I need another me. This is that. You know what I'm saying?
So
you said that before, right?
Yeah.
I need two of me. This is that.
Okay.
Double yourself. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Double yourself. So the opportunities here seem limitless. Like you were telling me that Caleb Williams now he can talk to people like anywhere on earth basically because he can replicate himself digitally through AI. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, and he can do that in 29 languages in his voice, even though he does not speak those 29 languages. So if someone, a fan of his in NFL football in Mexico, that, for instance, is a Caleb Williams fan, they watched him at USC, is a big connection there. Now, they can talk to Caleb Williams in his voice in their language, in Spanish, if that's the case, in German, in Mandarin, in other languages like that. So it's an absolutely incredible tool, something that's way ahead of the curve, and it's building itself to a straightaway for the future.
All right, now give us like the 30-second like summary of your story. Like how did you get into this business? Like how did you get to the point of success where you are now? Like what were some of the challenges you had to overcome, and how'd you make it here?
I actually operate in a lot of different industries. One of them is the hemp and CBD industries.
The what?
Hemp and CBD industry, doing hemp farming several years, and building partnerships with people like Malik Youssef, who's an 8-time Grammy-winning songwriter, and now we work together. Yeah, we work together in a direct, dynamic role in business development of all types of industries, and sports and athletic development is one of them. And that kind of brings you around full circle to people like Rex Wong and the team over at Hollo, who we formed a partnership with based on what they have, helped them build that out and connect it to everyday people on a B2B level, but then the B2C level, which is where people like Caleb Williams will kind of connect business to consumer or fan, so to speak.
Okay, so I was talking to Rex earlier today, we were interviewing him, and I was asking him the question I'm gonna ask you, which is, we had, Steve Jobs in the 90s, early 2000s, with the iPhone and the computer and revolution, and then we had Elon Musk in the 2010s. Is this, like the AI stuff, is this sort of like the next, like, revolution of technology, and like, is this gonna change the way that we interact with sports and celebrities?
Right, and revolution is a good word, but I like evolution better, because it's something that's really coming innately from us, versus something that's going counter or against what it is we're doing. And that's what we think about when we say revolution, right? So this is a dynamic evolution, like what they call the industrial revolution, but I would call this more of a technology evolution, to where now we can extend that, like I say, extend ourselves into the future. So Rex Wong created Google AdSense. He's done a lot of great things, but AI is going to be the thing that creates that next person that you find. Maybe Elon Musk transition into that in a way that extends his legacy that way, but it might be another person like Rex or other people like you or like I, who come up with that one thing that everybody needs and everybody can enjoy safely from AI, that'll make it beneficial to everyone. And that'll be, I think Hollo AI is one of the starts to that.
Now, Dwayne, where are you from again?
I'm from Chicago originally.
From Chicago, but do you live here in Detroit now?
No, sir. I visit here quite often to visit my people. Shout out to Made by Pharma Lit Labs all day. That's our partners here in the cannabis industry. And but I live primarily in Las Vegas. We have a lemonade cannabis brand there called Life's Lemons.
Yeah.
Be sure to check that out. It's in Cookies on Flamingo Road in Las Vegas.
What about like today, like just being here, and I know that the day's still getting going, but what about today is like different? Like what makes this year's draft special? What's the energy like here? For people who aren't here, kind of describe like the feel of being here at the draft.
Think about this, right? All the sea of blue that you see around you. Last year, the Detroit Lions was at the top of the league. They were right there at the cusp of going to the Super Bowl. Their fan base right now is fired up more than ever before. Now you got a draft that they know that they got a shot to come out of this next year with a Super Bowl, and it's reflected right here today. So that's what kind of makes this all feel very special right now. But the NFL draft is always special because we work with a lot of the players who are going through this right now. We were hanging out with a couple of them yesterday, as you know, and it's a special day for a lot of them. So the happiness that you see from these families is really amazing. And I've been with families on that day and sat with them and going through the pain of seeing somebody not drafted where they thought they should be, but then dancing once it happened a little bit later on. So that kind of roller coaster of emotion is, I think, a part of what people enjoy now and the way they're able to convey that.
And hey, as long as you make it in, I mean, hey, look at Brady. What was he, 6th or 7th round draft choice? Thought he was going to go in the second round and, made it all the way to the top 1-7 Super Bowl. So those later on draft picks, can't write them off either.
No, actually, undrafted free agents, there are more undrafted free agents in the Hall of Fame than there are 3rd and 4th round draft picks, something like that. It's a crazy stat.
Yeah.
But undrafted free agents are the real dogs of the league. My good friend and business partner, Capri Bibbs over there, undrafted free agent, went on to win a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, came in, took out guys who were drafted 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, won their positions out, and stayed, had a good career in the league, and now is a member of the NFLPA, functioning, active with the alumni associations, and he can continue to make an impact on people's lives. Undrafted free agent, that's what it's about. So sometimes not getting there just means you got to fight harder to get there.
All right. Last question I have for you is for people who are like interested in your company, want to learn more about the industry, about this AI stuff. Like, what's your company website? How can people get a hold of you?
Well, Hollo.ai is the website that's going to be launched within the next few weeks officially. Right now, anybody can reach me just by going to my Instagram page at Dwayne Hirsch, D-W-A-Y-N-E. Yeah, D-W-A-Y-N-E, H-I-R-S-C-H. You can even call my phone if you want, 630-728-2414.
Putting it out there.
Yeah,
all right.
I get busy?
Don't spam this man, okay? Don't spam him.
Look, you want to spam me, try it. It's all good. But I'm here for the business. That's it. And so anybody can call me about it as long as that's what they're about. My line has always been open to everybody. That's the hallmark of my life as a businessman.
We have a lot of respect for that. Thanks so much for coming onto our podcast today, man, and it's an honor to meet you.
All right, thanks.
Awesome. That's a wrap.
Enjoying this episode? Subscribe for more content on finding your own path to success. Every subscriber makes a huge difference to the pod, and we're grateful for everyone. And don't forget to throw us a classy like and comment too to let YouTube know that you're a fan of our stuff. Now back to your regularly scheduled podcasting.
All
right, hey, it's one day before the draft. We're here in Detroit. He's a man to be noticed. He is Andre noticed. He wrote a book. He's going to tell you all about himself and the book.
Guys, I'm the Poetic Purpose Coach, and I'm just here to push people for purpose. Just excited. This book is about helping people understand what their purpose is and why it's not for them. Most people live and die and never find out why they were even here because of fear. But if you wonder what you're created for, you got to go back to the creator. So I push people to pursue purpose.
So you came to the lunch today in Detroit from where? Houston, right?
H-Town, Texas. Yes, sir.
Did you make high-value connections at the lunch?
I did.
Talk a little bit about some of those connections.
Apart from meeting the players, I met individuals that are building their brands and making sure that these players are doing what they can to be the best versions of themselves on and off the field. So that means a lot to me.
Awesome. So talk to me a little bit as if I'm an entrepreneur, what it means to be an entrepreneur. Inspire people to get off their ass and do something with their life and pursue their dreams.
Most people never have what they want because of fear. And fear enables people to stay in one position, and it really comes down to how bad do you really want it. Because the very first step to success is desire. Once you have desire, you have to have developed the mindset. And mindset is where it starts.
All right, so who'd you pick? Marvin Harrison Jr.? Talk about the all-access passes. What do you think about the quality?
I've never seen anything like this. This is dope. I'm so excited for this. I love it.
Is this going to be something you keep in memory years down the road?
I'm not throwing this away.
Okay. So last thing, leave everyone with something inspirational from you. Talk to them from your heart.
Whatever it is that you want to achieve, whatever it is that you want to become, you got it. Understand that life in one word is love, and the best way to show love is to give. Therefore, live to give.
Awesome words from a strong man that knows a little bit about having a purpose. If you haven't read his book, get his book. Put education in your brain. The more you learn,
the more you earn.
Peace out.
Who's your favorite NFL team?
Texans, man, they're looking so good.
The Texans do look good right now.
So good.
They look.
Shout out to CJ Stroud.
H-Town, baby.
So remind me, these are the audio glasses.
Yep.
Okay. And here, let's sing. So, are you recording? Okay. So just tell us a little bit about just the significance of this and like when this is rolling out, and sell us on it.
Yeah. So these are audio glasses, and audio glasses are essentially smart glasses that have audio speakers in them and connect by Bluetooth to your phone.
Okay.
We make this for other companies, but this model is designed because what we do is we're a creator venture studio, so we create ventures with creators, and this was something that we basically can do custom audio glasses as well as headphones and other types of merchandise that are creator branded.
Okay.
So this one in particular is one that we create with different creators that are essentially audio, right? And it can be branded with their brand. They usually sell for about $200 or so.
That's not bad.
And and in fact, we make these for Bose. It's a different
for Bose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bose has their version that we create. So it's the same audio that's in there, and I think they sell it for $250.
Okay.
Right? So it's about that same price range. Right? But essentially, what it is we'll open this one up. There's the glasses. It's brand new here. So there they are.
All right.
The glasses, and then if you can kind of see, there's actually speakers built into them.
Okay, there are.
Yeah. And then what we can do is we can connect them to a phone. So I'm actually going to connect one.
And it's pairing right now?
Yeah, I'm going to pair it with this phone. So try that.
Okay.
And let's see, I'm gonna find my Spotify here. And let's see.
Wow. I hear the song.
Yeah, I don't even know what's playing, but
Say what?
I don't even know what's playing, but
Yeah.
there's a song playing.
Did you stop it?
No. Let's see. Let's do this.
If you hold it to the mic, would it still be playing? Would you go to hear it?
Oh yeah.
Blinding Lights by The Weeknd?
Yeah. I'm gonna take it off here. Yeah, you could hear it. I don't know if you hear it. Yeah, it's coming in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So I'm just, you're telling me I don't need my AirPods anymore. I just 2-in-1.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good, right?
It is good. It's
Yeah.
great.
And so the idea is that these are really great when you don't want to block your ears.
Yeah.
Or when you don't even want to seem like you're talking. Plus, they come with these blue light lenses.
So now people really think I'm a schizophrenic because I'm going to be talking with my glasses on with no earbuds or anything.
Yeah, and it's great for like driving, as an example.
Okay.
And then they come with blue light lenses. So these are the blue.
With blue light lenses?
Yeah, so you can switch out those lenses or put prescriptions in. These are the blue lights. So the blue lights are like, so that if you're using this, I use these for Zoom calls.
Okay.
Right, so you could be sitting in front of a computer and then just watching, looking at your Zoom call. And it looks like you're wearing glasses, but essentially you're just talking, right?
So cool.
Yeah, and so they're really...
So let's be clear. So this is, when is this dropping?
We've actually already been shipping these, but in terms of, we work with different creators to create their versions of it.
Okay.
Right, or headphones, we manufacture headphones, as well as other types of merch. So that's how we kind of help creators kind of create ventures and really leverage their audience.
And are you guys like the first ones to pioneer this technology, or?
So we do make this for like Bose and other companies.
Okay.
But for creators, it's kind of a special category.
Okay.
Right, because creators are brands now, and they have social followings, and just think kind of like Dr. Dre and Beats.
Yeah,
right?
Dr. Dre and Beats. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example of how celebrity and a product kind of intermixes.
Okay.
Right?
Well, let's get some of these draftees to rep these, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do it. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Did you subscribe yet? If you like our content, it's the easiest way to support the pod. Hit the subscribe button on the bottom right and keep it classy.
Awesome. Well, Reese, nice to meet you. Steve.
Yeah.
All right.
Pleasure.
And this is Stay Classy Podcast. And what I wanted to talk about today was just like sort of explaining to people who aren't familiar, like, you know, where we are and like your involvement with this establishment.
Sure.
And why this means so much to you.
Yeah, so we're located right in downtown Detroit, Michigan, basically right on the border. You can literally see Canada right over there, so pretty close by. We're at the Detroit Foundation Hotel in Apparatus Room, which is our restaurant. It's a very interesting property. Started here about 2 years ago, been with the hotel management company for about 4.5 years. This is our flagship hotel. It's the only one in Michigan with this company. It's very interesting because this was originally the Detroit Fire headquarters, and so there's a lot of history behind it. It's actually two buildings where there's the Pontchartrain Wine Cellar is the second half of our building that was put together to make it into what the hotel is today.
Yeah.
Apparatus Room, the namesake of the restaurant, actually comes from like where we're sitting right now is these massive red barn doors. This is where they used to park all of the fire engines in here.
No shit.
And so there's one art piece that we have where the firemen would actually hang all their gear to dry. So that it was called the Apparatus Room, which is where we got the namesake of the restaurant.
So cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about like what's going on this week. I mean, obviously we have the draft. What is the draft like really? I mean, the draft is obviously a big deal, but what does it really mean to like this city, this people, like football, and just like sort of the positivity and spirit that brings?
Yeah, I think especially for Detroit after this last year that our football team had, like the Lions going as far as they did, which was massive for the city of Detroit. Like everybody like really rallying behind the home team. it was such a big dynamic shift for our city and our state, really.
Yeah.
And then to follow up with that, with having the draft here, is really like a 1-2 punch for us of just like having this awesome, like positive momentum towards our sports. Because here in the city of Detroit, we have the Red Wings, we have the Pistons, we have the Lions, and we have the Tigers. So we have all basically covering all 4 major sports media corporations there. So it's very sports centric here for us. I'm not a huge sports fan, but mainly because like I'm at a different end of the world and spectrum.
Sure.
Where leisure sports aren't normally what I like to enjoy, but being a part of like this awesome movement that we've seen here in our state and especially in our city has been amazing to see. And then seeing the draft come into our city as well, it's looking at the massive influx of revenue that it brings to all the local businesses and like the notoriety that we can continually just try and push to be the great city that we know. Everyone always believes that their city's the best city, and it's, you know, like, oh, we're the best and this is great. But I think Detroit, why I've kind of wanted to continue to work in the city over the past decade or so, is because there is so much that we have to offer. Like, there's so much that we have to be proud of. There's so much like awesome things that are happening here, not just in the hospitality scene, but like everything in between that everyone here in the city of Detroit is doing, whether it's in massive infrastructure, whether it's in architecture, whether it's in the arts, whether it's in hospitality and everything in between. There's so much that it's just a city that really cares, taking like the Midwestern mentality of just like grinding and grinding and grinding, but also trying to be not necessarily polished, but be interesting and introspective into what it is that we actually care about, which is why Detroit's so fun.
I was going to ask you about, like, so one thing that I've heard about Detroit, and again, this is my first time in the city, but the revitalization of the city that's been happening over the last, would it be fair to say, like decade or so?
Yeah, a little bit longer, but yeah.
Longer than that. So talk to us a bit about that. Like, you know, Detroit for a long time, during, I would say probably like the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, had a certain reputation, but the revitalization of the last, like, as again, a decade or more, talk to us a bit about that and like sort of how that's actually playing out in this city. Like for people who maybe all they heard about Detroit is like, oh, it was like a dangerous place at one time, or like the economy tanked after, the manufacturing left, but tell us like what's actually like the positive side, like what's actually happening in the last decade or so since the revitalization took place, like how that's playing out across the city.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I think that this property, it actually opened in 2017 as what we're sitting in now. Is a really good example of it, just to kind of like, obviously we can look around the architecture, all of the, Detroit being one of the most densely populated capitals that in the US at one point in time, the automobile industry and all of the influx of basically like infrastructure that was put into the city. There's amazing architectural feats that have been done here that over time, as a city, like collectively, is that we've tried to maintain and retain that as much as possible. Like, we don't want to lose like the lackluster beauty of the days gone past. We want to just reinvent it into the newest iteration and try and make things better. So it's just building on the foundation that was here once before.
Sure.
Over the past decade or so, it's been a lot of very like thrifty mentality in that same sense from business owners everywhere that have been really trying to focus on having a niche, unique product that they can offer in a niche, unique area, trying to fit the need for, like, we are a metropolitan city and we're trying to consistently prove that by putting our heads down and working. And it's through the ebb and flow, economically speaking, is that there's downturns, housing booms and crashes and everything else that we've all gone through and seen. However, is that to me, the Midwestern mentality of the work ethic is like, you just push through it, you just keep going and going and going and trying to work and really care about everything that we're doing. It's a matter of just really giving a shit and just saying, like, we're gonna put our foot down and like, you know what, we think that we have this great, amazing city. We have this great, amazing work ethic. We have this great, amazing everything that goes into it, from our viewpoint at least, and we want to showcase that to the world. And anybody that's willing to come into our great city is saying like, hey man, this is something that's unique and awesome and interesting, to where there is a very densely populated amount of like hotels and restaurants and everything just within the downtown area, but it's quite sprawling as soon as you get into the suburbs. That really draws it to continually be. I mean, I even had people in from Canada that, they work in the hospitality industry here, that they're just grateful to be, not just in America, but they're grateful to be in the Detroit scene because of like how vibrant it truly has become over the past decade.
Sure. Last question I have for you is this. So tell us a little bit about, just real quick, like what makes you personally passionate about the work you do here? So like, I mean, you talked about the Midwestern like work ethic, that mentality, but that aside, like what makes you personally like so invigorated and so clearly like drawn to this kind of work, and like what sort of like gets you excited about like what you do here?
So for me, like coming up, being as a chef, some people have these like amazing, like, oh, I remember working under my grandmother's feet in the kitchen when I was a kid, and that inspired me. And I was like, I didn't have any of that. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna be a chef. I love food, like and I just stuck with it. But through the years, I found that being in hospitality in specific has allowed me to travel the world, to meet amazing people on like a daily basis. And through my work, it's the most physical amount of work, like that you're putting in front of somebody that you can express, versus like if you're a speaker, for example, it's you're thinking in like non-tangible things, non-tangible emotions, how you empower people, how you speak to them. There's like an innate value to all that. But what I have always found interesting is that, putting down a plate of food in front of somebody, they enjoy it. You're nourishing them. You're taking care of them. You're interacting in their life in like a very deep and meaningful, impactful manner that I want people to be happy at the end of the day. I'm a people person. I enjoy it. So through my work, I'm able to, whether you want to put it as like inspire, nourish, enrich, it's someone's life that you're happy. I mean, at the end of it is that I can find work anywhere in the world because everybody has to eat. We all have to, everybody's got to eat every single day. We got to take care of ourselves. If I'm just this, part of that entire cycle that all of it goes into, a person's day to day, and I can just make them that little bit happier by whether they're going and they feel like they're taken care of because they can come into my restaurant and say like, oh, okay, great. I don't have to work today. Maybe it's a night off, or they're going out for a special occasion and they get to celebrate, or they just want to eat something really great and they can come and have that kind of an experience. That is where I bring a lot of my passion into it. And like my personal passions is whether it's through understanding where food comes from, trying to understand the food cycles, how I can be impactful, how I can try and, be impactful as a positive, member of my community on whatever level, trying to bring to the forefront, because breaking it down is if I don't have farmers, well, I don't have food, which means I don't have a job. So I need to kind of exalt the farmer, celebrate the people that are really, I'm just the catalyst into trying to get it in front of somebody while there's somebody who's working 10 times harder than I am for, far less money because they're working based on their sweat equity that they put into everything. So they need to be taken care of. So that's why I try to really care about all that and tell the stories of those behind me and bring them to the forefront of the scenes, because that's what personally brings me satisfaction out of my job, is that I can have someone come into my restaurant, hey, these are the, whatever greens that I have. These are the tomatoes I have for the season. This is the garlic I'm growing this year. And be like, oh, great, amazing. Like, develop these deep connections. And then I can take that story and tell it to the people, not just like on the plate through this like whimsical artistic manner. Because honestly, it bothers me when everybody's just like, oh, chefs are such artists. It's like viewing it from the viewpoint of like, I'm a catalyst to try and celebrate somebody else's hard work. That, while we may take accolades and all of that and the artistic, compassion that we put in all of our work, yeah, it's there. But the story is honestly what I'm after, because that's what develops connections to everybody and makes you a meaningful part of your community.
Awesome. Well, there it is. Man of the people, chef of the people, Chef Reese. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks so much,
Appreciate
guys.
it. Awesome. Keep doing what you do.
Hey there, classy viewers. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We're dedicated to providing you with quality content that inspires and brightens your day. But keeping it classy can be expensive. If you enjoy our content, we're asking for your support for the podcast using the donation link in the description below. Donations mean the world to us, and even as little as $5 can make a huge difference in helping us make this podcast a reality. Plus, donors are added to our shortlist to be the first to receive exclusive offers on merch, extra content, and even chances to appear on the pod. Anything you can give would truly be appreciated. Now get back to enjoying the rest of the podcast, and as always, stay classy. Episode 77, Stay Classy podcast, here in Detroit, live with the draft going on, and here we have Annie Ager.
Yes,
And
thank you.
Annie, thanks for coming on to the show.
Absolutely. Happy to
Awesome.
be here.
So, Annie, tell us a little bit about yourself for some of our West Coast fans who may not know about what you do and what you do with the NFL. Tell us about yourself.
That's a great question. I do NFL comedy. I do a recap that kind of roasts the players and the teams every week to kind of recap the games. Started back in 2020. I did a video during COVID, and it got like 3 million views overnight. So I thought this is something people want right now, and a little comedic relief, and started doing NFL videos, and now I'm here.
All right, awesome. And describe for people who aren't here. I feel like if you're not here, you don't really understand like the energy that there is with the draft going on for this city of Detroit, especially with how the team did last year, and now like with the whole city cooking. Like, what's the interview like? What's the atmosphere like here?
It's something I've never experienced, and I know Detroit because I was born and raised here for a couple years, but my family's from here, and there is something about Detroit pride, and not just pride for the Lions, but just the city of Detroit. They are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. They'll give you the shirt off their back if they could. Like, they're just great people, and it shows. Like, if you see the shot, the overhead of the draft right now, I've never seen so many people. And I think even Ian Rappaport tweeted out, he said this might top Nashville, and Nashville was a lot too, but this is just... It's insane, and I absolutely love the city of Detroit. But the vibe is very electric right now.
Sure. Do you have any specific thoughts on like the draft, like this year, like what's unique about it? Like I mean, obviously we know who like the top few are going to be, but beyond that, like anything stand out to you about this year's draft?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows, like you said, the storyline with the quarterbacks, but I think there's a big push for wide receiver, obviously, and this is a big O-line draft, which is very weird. And I think once it hits like pick 20, I think the O-line guys are going to go pretty quick. Like, a lot of tackles are going to go, and I think it'll be a domino effect, and then more, because as a Packers fan, I want either an O-line guy or a quarterback, and cornerback, not quarterback, just so we know. Love Jordan Love. Anyway, I think the O-line guys are going to go pretty quickly, and that's kind of a weird thing too. Like, you know how in the draft people start panicking when guys start going off the board, but I think the main focus is the 3 top wide receivers, and then you've got these quarterbacks that nobody really knows after Caleb what's going to happen. We don't even know if Jaden's going to go before Drake. You know, it's like this weird, that seems weird to me, because last year we knew pretty well who was going to go where. I mean, obviously Houston traded up. That was kind of unprecedented, but we knew where the quarterbacks were going to go. This year, you're kind of like, so many teams need a quarterback. So many teams need a quarterback.
Sure. I mean, the way the game is changing, the way the game is evolving is like, you know, you have a franchise quarterback or you don't is like sort of the defining moment of success. So tell us, like, are there any like predictions that you have for this year's draft? Like any surprises, or do you expect things to go like pretty much according to whatever everyone's calling?
In my draft video that I did this week, I said that the Bears are actually going to take J.J. McCarthy, which would be, I'm joking, by the way, I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that would be hilarious. Any predictions? I think the shock might be that Drake May. I think JJ is going to go higher than a lot of people. I don't think he makes it to 6. And I think Drake May might go above Jaden, just because of what I've heard about Drake May. Jaden is small. Like, we just talked to him on the red carpet. He's not, tiny, but he's smaller than Drake May. So we'll see. But that's my bold prediction.
Bold prediction.
Yeah.
All right, we love to see it.
That bold, but.
Last thing is like, again, like for people who don't know like what you're about, like what you're doing, like going forward, like obviously like the work you've done with the NFL stands out, but where do you hope to like take your career at this point? Like, what's like sort of the next step for you? Obviously, with all you've accomplished, but like now, like what's the next step, and like where do you see yourself going from here?
Oh, thank you. Good question. I think the next step is just to be more kind of accessible to my followers and my fans. So, people have podcasts. They're just trying to get on any kind of platform where you can access them more than a 3-minute TikTok video. So that's kind of what I plan to do, whether that's a show or a podcast or, eventually I want to host my own show or have my own network. That's completely, this funny comedic roasting type segment that you can expect me to roast the players and and just be more accessible to fans and followers and have guys that come on the show. And like today it was so funny because I roast them and then you talk to them in person. It's hard to do in person because I start feeling bad and I
still roast them in person
myself. And then they say something about the Bears and I'm like, I don't feel bad anymore. So I definitely do roast them in person. They just have to get over it.
Okay.
I'll get them comfortable.
Last question is for people like who want to get connected, who want to follow the work that you do. Tell us a little bit about like your socials and how to get connected to you and stuff.
Absolutely. TikTok's a big one. I post a lot on TikTok and Twitter, obviously with live news is great.
Don't you mean X? No, I'm just kidding.
I know. I do that all the time now. Sorry, X.
No, I hate calling it X. It's Twitter.
It throws me for a living. Yeah, but that's a great place for like live updates and stuff for especially sports. So there for sure. TikTok, it's all Annie Agar or Annie Agar 5. That's where you can find me.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for doing this interview, Annie.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, that's a wrap. This has been another recorded episode of Stay Classy Podcast with your host, Steve Wyer. Thanks so much for tuning in. And as always, you can find all of our content at our website at stayclassypod.com. And thanks to our production sponsor and partner, MaxLux Media. You can find them at maxluxmedia.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Every subscription helps and goes a long way towards ensuring that we can continue to produce content for viewers like yourself. Thanks so much. Stay classy.